A moment to try. Here we go. Now we're in. So welcome back. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Joining us as he does every single Thursday at this time, it's our guy, Adam Kaufman, WBZ News Radio in Boston. Adam, what's up, man? How are you?
Doing all right. Getting ready for the weekend. How about yourself?
I'm getting ready for the weekend. Also getting ready to end the first half of the NBA season tonight for the Celtics as they take on the Raptors. They're on a mini run. They've won 3 straight. They're 18-17. My question to you is, how good can Robert Williams be, and should I be as excited as I am?
I thought your question was going to be, so it's all fixed, right? Nobody needs to be fired or traded. This is, right back to contender status. So
Robert Williams is the fix.
I'm a huge Robert Williams fan. I'm a Robert Williams stan. I have been for, certainly if you were to go back and look at some of my tweets from last season, this isn't one of those like, I've been telling you, the receipts are there, man. You can go back, you can look. I was, at least before the injury and he missed 50 games, I was going into the season last year saying, okay, he's not ready yet, but how far are we? How big a goal is this for the team for Robert Williams to, by season's end, be your starting center? Yeah. And, that was really where I envisioned things going. And who knows, maybe Brad Stevens and company envisioned things going that way as well. But as we know, obviously, Williams missed a good chunk of the year, most of the year, dealt with the variety of injuries, and, he was just slowed down. And when he came back in the bubble, at the restart, looked pretty good, looked much better, even in the playoffs. And for the most part, it's looked pretty good this year, especially as he's started to play more. When you see him out on the court for 20 plus minutes and, he's out there like this last game, he had, I think it was 13 points.
13 and 8.
But a total, not even just the 8. It was a total of rebounds, assists, and blocks. He had 15, so he's filling out the stat sheet a little bit when he actually has an opportunity to do so. And I would love to see him playing more. He's so athletic. There's obviously as a big, there's an element to what this team has been missing that he gives you. I think that he is, he's a long ways off. Maybe we'll never even get there from us putting him in a similar conversation with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But with respect to just being a foundational piece for this team, I think he's absolutely entering that conversation to where, now it's not like I'm not delusional. It's not like he's untouchable in a trade or something like that, but he is becoming one of those guys that you at least have to think long and hard about. You hesitate giving up depending on what's coming in return, just because I think there's a ceiling there. I think there is a legitimate ceiling there that has him as a game changer, and we have seen it in spurts, and it's good to see him starting to play some late game crucial minutes.
So I like Robert Williams too. I love the athleticism when he came out. Now the smarts are there, staying out of foul trouble, also using that athleticism properly. But I can understand Tice playing because Tice offers you a shooting element that Williams doesn't. And I can understand Thompson playing because he offers you a toughness and gritty element. You have those guys that do things pretty well. So where does Robert Williams fit in when compared to them? Who's he overtaking?
I think and this is kind of a cop-out, but is also true to form to the way Brad Stevens sort of runs his team on the floor. It's kind of matchup dependent, right? Mm-hmm. You're not always going to want him out there over a Tice or over a Thompson, but there are absolutely times, less so Thompson, probably more so Tice, because they are just, I think Williams and Thompson, while they're not super similar players, they are more similar than Williams and Tice are. And so, if you're in that kind of matchup, that kind of grinding, bodies in the middle, and Tom Williams is not a big body. He's big in that he's tall, but he's lanky. He's not, he's not like Adebayo in the middle, or a Jokic in the middle, or obviously an Embiid or a Giannis in the middle. He's got to get a little girth to get there. But again, he's young, he's developing, and that muscle, that that development, all of that, it just comes with time. Giannis, and I'm not saying Williams will ever be Giannis, but Giannis was a twig when he entered the NBA, and now dude is jacked. So that stuff, especially when you're healthy and you can regularly be in the gym, that stuff comes with time. I think you can absolutely argue that in certain matchups you'd rather have a Williams out there on the floor than a Tice, or just, and again, kind of circling back to this being a cop-out, it's just a different minutes distribution. It's not, you need Williams out there for 40 minutes and Tice for 15. How about one's out there for 25 and the other one's out there for 20? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there could just be a little bit more balance to that than what we've been seeing to this point. And I do think that is coming. And I think fans should be happy to see what we're seeing just before the All-Star break here.
Jaylen Brown is going to the All-Star game. He's been battling knee tendonitis. He's missed some time with knee issues. Lou Merloni at WEEI was going off saying he shouldn't play in the All-Star game. Where do you land on that? Because was it Kemba or Kyrie? Kemba was hurt last year going to the All-Star game and played. I thought he shouldn't have played. He did, and then he was continued to be hurt. So where do we stand on Jaylen Brown?
I tweeted this yesterday. This is becoming my favorite midseason Celtics talking heads argument because, it was Kyrie Irving a few years ago, and then it's Kemba Walker, and now it's Brown, and even Tatum. You could make a case for not playing in this game. And I think no matter where you land on it, and by all means, if you're among the group that thinks like these guys, if you're missing regular season games, or if your minutes are limited and you're not able to contribute to the full extent to help your actual club that is chasing a championship in the best case scenario win a game, then how in the world should you be out there for an All-Star game? If you're of that camp, these guys shouldn't play in a glorified exhibition, especially one in a year where there aren't even all the fans and celebrities, and it's the normal spectacle that it is. I get it. And honestly, if hook up Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens to a lie detector or give them the truth serum or whatever it is, they may tell you they don't want them to play either. But the ultimately the bottom line is this: it's a players' league. And they want to play, they're going to play. And a team is, you'd be hard pressed to find a team that's going to mandate that one of its stars not play in an all-star game, because teams are so afraid of alienating their stars, even the ones that are under contract. I mean, we've seen guys can be under contract and still force their way out. Look at James Harden, right? Yep. So this is a players' league. And if these guys want to go and play in these games, there's just, like it or don't like it, there's nothing you can do about it. Now, obviously, if it were up to me, Tatum wouldn't even go. And I know he's starting. Tatum wouldn't even go just because, look, I mean, the guy is still recovering from COVID. And it's apparent watching him on the floor. His shooting percentages pre-diagnosis, post-diagnosis, and we have a decent sample of both, have been putrid by comparisons to him. Compared to his standard, he has not been good the last 20 games. And he himself admitted his breathing has been out of whack, that he is not the same. He is not fully over it. So you need to go play in an all-star game? If we're up to me, you take the break, the handful of days, and you reset. And as far as Jaylen Brown, I get it's a little bit different, right? It's his native Atlanta. He wants to go there and maybe see friends and family and just, be a part of the whole thing, and obviously wants to play, and it's his first All-Star game. Like, I get all of it. If we're up to me, there's a happy medium there, which is, look, you're injured, you have knee tendonitis, you've missed games lately, you're not at full strength when you do play. Don't play in this game. Go sit on the bench, take part in the 3-point contest. There's no level of exertion to that. There's no reason you can't do that. Take part in the 3-point contest, still be out there. Don't play in the exhibition. That's again, if I had my druthers, that's what it would be. I mean, I think that he's half right in his decision. Like, hey, my body's not where it needs to be right now. Of course, I'm not going to participate in a dunk contest, but yeah, 3-point contest, whatever. To anyone out there, and I've heard this, I've heard people say this, you're not well enough to participate in the dunk contest, but you can play in the 3-point shootout. Well, yeah, those are two totally different things. I mean, they don't even work the same muscles. That's fine with me. You don't need to play in the game, but who am I to tell Jaylen Brown that? You know what I mean? So that's just where we're at.
Adam Kaufman, WBZ News Radio in Boston, with us as he is every Thursday on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Baseball news broke, 4 a.m.-ish. It sounded like Jackie Bradley Jr. going to the Milwaukee Brewers, a 2-year, $24 million deal. Mm-hmm. JBJ has been a long, polarizing figure in Boston. Here's what I'll say. I would have given him the 2-year, $24 million deal to stay in Boston. I just don't know that was ever given to them as an option. Like, it feels like Scott Boras wanted a 4-year, $80 million deal all along and then took this at the last second, and the Red Sox never really had a chance to make this kind of offer. Did you see it the same way?
So I think there's a bigger picture issue at play there, to me at least. You remove the money, you remove the years, the contract, all that stuff. If you were to listen to Jackie Bradley Jr. toward the end of last season and all the times in the second half of that 2-month year and into the, off season, start of the off season, when he was asked about his future and asked about his time in Boston and asked about free agency and all of the things relating to what we're talking about here, there was never one time, not one passing comment where he gave the slightest indication that he even wanted to come back to Boston. It wasn't, let's, we'll see what happens in free agency. And obviously I got a lot to think about, my family and this and that. And it's not going to be an easy decision, but man, I've loved it here. And the people that I've met in this community and this fan base, and we won a World Series and my Gold Glove and, ALCS MVP and so much that we accomplished and all the guys that I played with. And like this, Boston has really been home for these last several years. And who knows, maybe it'll work out. I'd love to be back. Never even a sniff of any of that. He always, to me, I never for 1 second, despite how long it took him to find a job and a deal that he was willing to settle for here into the start of spring training, there was never 1 second that I thought he was coming back, because I don't think he wanted to. For one, and I don't know why. I don't know if it was a thing with ownership or management, or maybe he didn't love the fan base because he was so polarizing. There were so many people that were against him. I have no idea what it was, other than it just to me seemed so clear he wanted no part in a future in Boston.
I'll get you out of here on this. Totally random from anything else we ever talk about. I don't know if you saw this story, but in the state of Kentucky, they are allowing high school seniors a 5th year of high school. And it doesn't matter if you're an athlete, but if you're an athlete, you can come back and you can play that 5th year. Would Adam Kaufman want to be a 19-year-old 5th year high school senior? Because I at first I was like, why the hell would I ever want to be in high school for 5 years? And then part of me keeps coming back to like, you know what? I could win a state title, help myself get a chance to be better for a college, scholarship potential. There's going to be a guy who's got a girlfriend who he wants to stay around for. I see people doing this, Adam.
Well, so I guess I go back to the first thing that you said in the question, which was you don't even have to be an athlete. If you're an athlete, I can see the incentive in doing it, like what you just said. Maybe you're upping your stock or your recruitment to college or whatever it may be, your chances of getting drafted to go play baseball. I don't know. I mean, there are any number of different athletically driven reasons that you could maybe justify it. If I'm just regular dude, me talking about staying for a 5th year, I mean, no chance. There's no part of me that would that would be enticed to do that, unless you told me that like all of my friends were doing it.
Yes.
But and then it's at least you're all in it together, and it's another year of hanging with all your buddies, and maybe there's that girlfriend from home, like you said, or whatever it is. There, you're all kind of just in it, and it's this extension of high school. But what if mostly everybody moves on and you just stay back, and then you're just making new friends with kids who are in the grades below you, and all of your friends are off to college, or maybe they're taking a sabbatical year or whatever it is, but like you're still in high school and taking all those same tests and applying to college that sounds awful. There's terrible. No, thank you.
I also wonder,
and by the way, not even just high school. Like I wouldn't want to do that in college. I loved my 4 years in college. At the end, I was ready to go. Like let's enter the world.
I could have hung around for another Wednesday night, a couple Wednesday nights of chicken wings and cheap beer. I might have been able to be enticed.
Minus the classes, sure.
Yeah, true. That's for sure. So it's an interesting story. I'm wondering how many really small high schools Kentucky must have, because I don't think you could do this like, hey, you got 1,000 seniors that might leave, but 500 of them are going to stay and 1,000 freshmen are going to come in. Where are you going to put everybody? So these better be small schools in Kentucky is my first thought here. So yeah. Adam Kaufman, WBZ News Radio, Celtics expert, sees end their first half tonight against the Raptors. They're 1 game over 500. Adam, we appreciate the time and perspective as always. We'll do it again next week.
Anytime.